I would like to implement a purchase order system, but I don't have time. That's a common phrase I hear from many growing companies, whether I'm talking to a CFO or a controller. They're dealing with the growth pains, right, in terms of surprise expenses and so on, but they don't have time to implement a proper process. And most of the time, they think that it's going to take a long time. Well, it's like a lot of time people think it's 3 to 6 months. And when I tell them it can be done in 2 to 3 weeks, they are pretty amazed, right? So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how simple it is to implement a purchase order system in your organization. And second, I'll share like one bonus tip in terms of things that you must avoid. Otherwise, you'll kill the adoption in your company. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome. My name is Sachin Sharma. I am the founder of Procure Desk, where we help growing companies automate their purchasing and AP processes. So let's jump right in. So number one is most companies think they have to have a lot of data to start with, right? So I got to pull my chart of accounts, suppliers, I need to think about approval process and so on. Reality is you already have that data. If you have a good delegation of authority policy or a purchasing policy, that captures pretty much what you are supposed to do. Whether you're doing that or not, that's a different process or problem. And second is all your data as far as your chart of accounts, your suppliers email list, all that is in your accounting system. So a good procurement system like Procure Desk should be able to easily connect and pull the data from there. And your purchasing policy provides the workflow that needs to be configured. Right. Now comes to the second point is who should do the configuration. And that is where you need a implementation specialist. So when you're working with when you're looking for procurement software options, look for companies who provide like a fully done for you service. So you don't have to worry about thinking about even implementation. Provide them with the requirements on what you want and find somebody who has done implementation in your industry, right? So if you are a biotech, find somebody who works in biotech or construction or schools or whatever the case might be, right? And having a dedicated implementation specialist speeds up the process because they know what are the best practices in your industry and they've done it many times, right? So number 3 is start small and then scale. You don't have to start with everybody in the organization using the system, right? So really think about it this way. If you have, let's say, 50 employees, in our experience, generally 20 to 30% of employees, so that would be 10 to 15 employees, are involved in the purchasing process. And that is what you should focus on. Start with small, with who are the main people who are involved in the purchasing process. And the idea here is that you want to start small so you can get feedback. You can make sure you are understanding what is coming in between as far as adoption is concerned, right? So start small and then iterate over, understand what is going on, what we need to modify and things like that from there, right? So those are the 3 things that can really speed up your implementation process, and you can implement a PO system in 2 to 3 weeks. Now, coming to that bonus step that pretty much kills the adoption, and that is trying to perfect everything. We see it many times when we work with our clients is they have a tendency to ensure that every possible workflow is configured or looked at before they roll it out. They test it forever and they're trying to perfect it for like the 10%. You're already there 90%. So the easiest thing I would recommend is as soon as you're close to 80-90%, roll it out. Get it out in front of your employees. Take your friendlies, get the feedback, and then optimize the 10% there. Don't wait for a go live. Otherwise, you will be testing it forever, trying to perfect the system. And honestly, in my opinion, it's not worth it. So just to summarize the top 3 things to kind of speed up your implementation, right? So you don't have to start from scratch. That's number 1. Look for dedicated support and from an implementation standpoint. Number 3 is start small and then scale to rest of your employees. If you found this video helpful, go and hit the subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. And thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next video.